Well, welcome back to the Truth Bomber. And today I want to start at sort of the beginning. I want to talk about our Declaration of Independence. And I want to give you a little background there. And I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to tell you about a place called the Green Dragon. Now, the Green Dragon was an old tavern in Old Boston. And it was at the Green Dragon that the Sons of Liberty hung out. It was at the Green Dragon where Paul Revere, Sam Adams, John Hancock, and a handful of others, great patriots, not only hatched the idea of our revolution, but they actually carried it out. So I want to welcome you to the Green Dragon 2.0 here, because what I'm going to endeavor to do is to teach you why we declared our independence, and we're then going to get into the Constitution. But today, let's just talk about our Declaration of Independence. Freedom was declared in America July 4th, 1776. You all know that date. We blow off a lot of firecrackers and we celebrate that day. But this is what we celebrate. There were four basic principles in our Declaration of Independence. And the reason that I put these on a PowerPoint is so that you can look them up, you can study them, you can share them with your children and your grandchildren, and you can use this as a teaching tool for others. Principle number one is that all people are created equal. Thomas Jefferson wrote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." Please Google it and read the rest for yourself. Principle number two is that all people have basic rights that cannot be taken away. About that second truth, Jefferson wrote in the Declaration, is that men are endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Remember that. That's a declaration. Principle three is that the government gets its power to make decisions and to protect our rights from the people. They get their power from us. Remember, this is a representative republic. We elect our representatives and we send them to Congress, but they get their power from us. The Declaration states that governments are instituted among men, driving their just power from the consent of the governed. Your silence is your consent today. Time to speak up and do something about this insanity. Principle four is when the government does not protect the rights of the people, then we, the people, have the right to alter or abolish that government. Thomas Jefferson wrote, "Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, then it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it." Those are the four basic principles of our Declaration of Independence. And that breaks out really into four parts. They're the preamble, the Declaration of Natural Rights, the list of grievances, and the Resolution of Independence. The preamble explains why the colonists are writing the Declaration of Independence. The natural rights lists our God-given rights of all men. The list of grievances contains all of the objections to what the king was doing to the colonies. And that Resolution of Independence officially declares our independence. Let's just take a look at these four parts. The first section, the preamble, the writers explain that if a group of people want to dissolve their government, as the colonists did, then they need to tell the world why they want to do it. You have to have a reason and state such, and they did. In the second section, in the Declaration of Natural Rights, lists those rights that all men have. All of us have these rights. They're called natural, unalienable. They were granted by God, and they cannot be taken away or given up. They include the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the government has a responsibility to protect these rights. And when a government fails to do so, then we, the people, have the right to abolish that government and replace it with one that will protect these rights. The decision to abolish a government should not be taken lightly and should occur only after repeated violation of the people's rights. I hope you're understanding this and that I'm not going too fast for you. The third section is the list of grievances. I think there were like 27. It was the longest part of the Declaration because, they weren't happy with the king. When Sam Adams started to hatch this idea of a revolution with Paul Revere, and then they got the backing of John Hancock. John Hancock was the money man, and began that. It was because they were taking away their rights. They were taking away their money, and they were spending it foolishly. The first grievance was for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. Britain was sending their troops over here to the colonies and forcing us to give up our housing for them. They had the right to just come and tell you, get out of your house now, and move whoever they wanted into your home to take over not just your home, but all of your possessions. We were a little upset about that. The second grievance was for cutting off our trade with all the rest of the world. The crown made it so that we could only trade with them. And then the third grievance, they were imposing taxes on us that we weren't agreeing to. You all heard about the Boston Tea Party. Well, that's what brought it on. And it was Sam Adams and the Sons of Liberty that pulled that off in the Boston Harbor. But they stopped us from trading with anyone else, and then they just poured taxes on us, took our money for their purposes, to wage war upon us. But we didn't like that either. And the fourth grievance was for basically taking away our rights to a trial by a jury. We didn't have that right. The crown just said, you're guilty, that's it. Lock them up, whip them, hang them, whatever the representatives of the crown wanted to do in the colonies, they could do it. And they took over, their boats were taking over our entire coastline. They were ravaging our towns and destroying the lives of our own people as they waged war. So that's just 5 of the, I'm pretty sure it was 27 grievances, but it was a long list. And it's by far the longest part of the Declaration of Independence. So then the United States of America was born. Remember, we had to make that declaration. And we wrote that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. Boom. Enough. Done. And that as a free and independent states, they have the full power to levy war, to make peace, to contract alliances with other countries, to establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things that independent states may have the right to do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Please read that last sentence again. They didn't just give up their lives and their fortunes, but they put their sacred honor on the line. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a short history lesson about our Declaration of Independence. I would pray that you spend that few minutes to look at it and to really understand. Google that stuff, GTS. Google the Sons of Liberty. Google what went on at the Green Dragon Tavern. Google just who Sam Adams was and John Hancock. You all know the insurance company and the old saying, put your John Hancock here. Well, find out who those people were. Spend a little time, get off social media, do a little research for yourself. And then when you see that this is good, when you see that what I'm teaching you is informative, share this video with your children and your grandchildren. A lot of people, they no longer know these things anymore. They truly don't. They're not being taught history in school. So they don't know. They don't know what they're fighting for. They don't know what happened to us 250 years ago and more. They don't know how we were restricted. They don't know what we revolted, what the revolution was about. And it's time that they do. That's why I call this the Green Dragon 2.0, because this is the American Revolution 2.0. We've got to rise up. We have to assert our rights. We can no longer be silent. We are Americans, and we must come together and unite as one. And remember that we are free. Remember that we have the right to assert those rights in a court of law. We have the Constitution on our side, and I'm going to be getting in the Constitution in a very near episode. But I'm trying to keep these short. I'm trying to keep these really as non-political as I can, for that matter. It's a matter of the Constitution. It's a matter of who we are as Americans. So I'm just going to thank you right now for taking this time. I'm going to ask you to please click like. You have to sign in to be able to click like, subscribe, please, and share. I need to get 1,000 subscribers. That's why you need to help me so that I can take this channel live. I'm going to continue to do it the way that I'm doing it now until that time. But if you like it, if you find some value, start sharing this with other people. And at that point in time, hey, we can make a difference. We need to educate people. And this is my way of doing it. So I'm going to thank you for your time. As always, God bless you. God bless America. Peace. I'm out.